Press Podcast Live. I know it's been a little while since I've done an episode, so I figured I'd get one done today. A little impromptu, but we're going to do a little discussion about what's going on in the NBA and the NFL. And that's going to be what we talk about on today's episode. So we'll start with the NBA. And I have a couple of things that I want to talk about. Obviously, we're getting close to the end of the regular season here in the next couple of months. So we're going to get close to the playoffs. And the NBA playoffs are an exciting time. We've got the Milwaukee Bucks who are on a crazy winning streak and have taken over the 1 seed in the East. By the way, I think the way they're playing look pretty good. Maybe they'll win it all. But maybe they'll play against the Suns with the Suns' new little toy they got in Kevin Durant. That'd be an interesting finals matchup again. But there's a couple things I want to discuss. Obviously, the All-Star Weekend happened a couple weeks ago, and there was a lot of talk about it. Wasn't there. He was hurt again. And he's 22, been in the league for a few years, and he's been out more than he's been in. Now, he's an interesting body type for a basketball player. When you look at him, he looks more like a defensive end, not even a tight end or a receiver like LeBron would probably play. The kid is 6'6", 280-plus pounds. Weight has varied. We've seen some pictures where he was clearly looking like he was over 300. But when he is in shape and on the court, he's phenomenal. In fact, he's so big and so strong and so agile for his size. He's basically unstoppable, especially in the lane. The unfortunate thing is he can't stay on the court. Now, as a professional athlete, your body is your tool, and your ability to be available is your most important asset. If you can't be available, if you can't be on the court, you can't be available to your team, it affects your value, and it affects your long-term goals, and affects what you want to be as a professional athlete. So you got to ask yourself, what am I going to do? Now, I don't know a lot about Zion's personal lifestyle and what he's doing, but all I do know is that he's not taking care of his body the way he should. Does that mean after games he's going out and partying? Does that mean he's not eating right? I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly what's going on in his circle. I don't know if he's got the right people supporting him. I'm not sure if he's hired a chef or a dietitian to make sure he's eating right, or his own personal trainer taking care of himself. All I know is that we're missing out on a great talent being on the NBA basketball floor. And remember, when he was healthy and playing with the Pelicans, that for a time being early in the season, they were in the 1 seed, and they were playing really, really well in a very competitive Western Conference. So it's just really unfortunate, and I just want to employ Mr. Zion to do what he can to get back on the court, take care of his body. I know some frames aren't built to carry so much weight, and sometimes it's hard to keep your weight down depending on your genetics, and there's things going on there. He just has natural muscle mass. He looked that way when he was 15, just a beast, looked like a man amongst boys. And sometimes when he's on the NBA court, still looks the same because he's just so big and dominant. I want to see Zion have a great career, and I want to see him go forward and do great things, but really needs to think what about his priorities are and what if he's doing everything he can to make sure he's on the court, or else his career is going to flounder faster than it actually blew up. And I'd be really disappointed with that. So here's to you, Zion. Please take care of your body. Do what's right. Get on the court so we can all watch you and watch you play and do amazing things. Otherwise, it'll be another bust and another disappointment in the NBA, and that'd be very, very sad. Now let's go to the All-Star Weekend. Now, the dunk contest has been hit or miss for many years. The three-point contest is what it is, and I don't think it needs to be changed. They do add little wrinkles here and there. Sometimes they have 3 rounds. Sometimes they have 2 rounds. They've added money racks where you get to choose what rack you're shooting as your favorite. So you have a bunch of money balls. And they added, recently they added 2 deeper shots that are worth some extra points. And if you like shooting, that's exciting. And the dunk contest was great, and Mac McClung was good, even though they had to bring a person who's only played in 2 or 3 NBA games from the G League mostly to win the thing and make it exciting because they can't get players to be in the slam dunk contest anymore. But the real issue that the NBA weekend has is not the skills challenge, as weird as that can be, not the young game that they have or the celebrity game that they do on Friday. The real issue is Sunday and the All-Star game. The All-Star game has become, sadly, just an open run I've seen more defense played by some geriatrics and a 24-hour fitness. It's just really, really sad. They just are running down the court, having who can make the longest three competitions, and no one's playing defense, even in the fourth quarter when the game is close. Now, if you go back and watch NBA All-Star games even a decade ago, they were competitive. People were trying. They're running plays, setting screens for each other. And if you go back even further, maybe in the 90s or 80s, those guys were out there. And they did do fun stuff. But trust me, they wanted to win. There was bragging rights on the line. And I don't think it's a lack of competitiveness. I think these players want to win. I just don't think this game matters to them. And I think the key is that titles mean everything now. If you don't have a title, if you go home like Charles Barkley or Karl Malone or John Stockton, and your career ends without a ring, what does it matter? That's why players rest more. That's why we have less players playing full 82 games. In fact, no one plays 82 games unless you're a mid-level player trying to get a contract. But if you're a star, there's no way you play a full 82. You get a rest on a back-to-back. I don't care how healthy you are. You just don't play a full 82. In the All-Star game, you don't want to get hurt there. Look at what Giannis and Luka did in the All-Star game. Giannis played for like 3 minutes and then turned into a coach. Same thing with Luka. He was on the bench for most of the game. Now you could say maybe they have nagging injuries they're dealing with, but it doesn't matter to them. It doesn't matter showing up to the fans. All they want to do is win a title. Now, is that media-driven? Is that society-driven? Don't get me wrong. I've always been super competitive. And if you're in a league where you're winning the title and that's how you make your money and that's what you're there to do, then you should do that. But a few things are being thrown by the wayside, and it's kind of a bad direction the NBA is going. Now, I'm not sure if you could fix the All-Star basketball game. I'm not sure. Maybe you make it different. Maybe you make a 1v1, just do a one-on-one tournament, bracket style. You got to beat your guy, move on, get a title. Because I don't think any All-Star want to get punked in a one-on-one game. I think they'll play out. I think they'll try. Get them a nice fancy trophy. Get them a nice cash prize, nice donation to charity if they're choosing. Give them a big public platform to say a little piece at the end. But the All-Star game is broken. I remember watching it as a kid. Now I don't even watch the highlights. So it's really, really unfortunate, and I hope they can fix it and find a way. Like I said, I think a one-on-one tournament would be great. Imagine LeBron going against Giannis or Embiid versus Jokic. Who wouldn't want to watch that? Better than what's going on now anyways. Worth a try. You try to tweak everything else, but except for the game. Let's figure it out. All right. Now on to some NFL news. There was 2 more coaching hires I didn't get to on the last pod. I think they happened maybe after episode 3, so I want to discuss them here, and I'll be brief on them. The Cardinals finally got rid of Cliff Kingsbury, as you talked about in the offseason. So happy for that. What a garbage hire that was. Unfortunately, they're eating a bulk of that contract because he extended him after he had 11-win season. It's only like 1 winning season on 10 years of coaching. Don't get me started on him. I don't think he's even getting an OC job. And then, so they hired Jonathan Gannon to replace him, the DC from Philly. Now, he was only a defensive coordinator for 2 years. He jumped around the league, worked his way up. Of course, Philadelphia defense had a great year. Of course, they had a rough time in the Super Bowl. But this is kind of, just going with the hot guy, the guy that's, moved up the ranks and showed. Do I think this is a great hire or a big splash? I think the Cardinals are in real trouble. I don't think they're going to be good next year. I think they're going to trade DeAndre Hopkins. I don't know what they're going to do with their pick. J.J. Watt retired. They've got some good players in Budda Baker and Isaiah Simmons on defense, but they need a lot of work. And this roster is in bad shape. And Kyler Murray may not come back. Remember, he got hurt with ACL injury late last year. Now, those recovery times are great, but if it's halfway through the season and they're 2-8 or 2-10 or whatever it is when he comes back, might as well just sit out the whole year. Get another good draft pick. So I don't think we're going to see a lot from him as a coach yet because he's got a lot of rebuilding to do. But either way, it's not a splashy hire. It's not something I'm really excited about. I just feel like the Cardinals went, who's a hot guy for he was in the Super Bowl? Yeah, let's take him. Let's go defense after we took an offensive guy. Because we already got a really good quarterback. I don't know. I just don't get it, but whatever. I think the Cardinals are going to be a mess for the next couple of years in a really competitive division where they're going to be looking up. They had 1 year of good success with Kyler, and that's it. That window was very short. Next up, Shane Steichen gets hired by the Colts. Now, excuse me, he was the OC for the Eagles. Had 1 year as the OC at the Chargers, only 3 years. He's, again, first head coaching job, just like Gannon. Not a super splashy hire, but this one I get a little bit more. You bring an OC in, you're in a top 5 position on the draft, probably want to get a quarterback and develop them because you're tired of the carousel. So I understand that. And then you want to, develop a quarterback. And Shane Steichen gets a little bit of the credit for the development of Jalen Hurts. I understand that. So if you're going to bring another young guy in here, you want someone that can develop a quarterback, because that's been the big issue in Indianapolis, having a stable quarterback, as they've had, 5 or 6 years in a row of different starting quarterbacks. So I get the hire here. Will it work or not? To be determined. I'm just glad that it's not Jeff Saturday. All right. Now, a couple other things I want to talk about. Now, the Raiders released David Carr, paid out him some money, and he's shopping around, and he's on the tour. And I know he's talked to the Saints, he's talked to the Jets, so that's been what's been reported. And if I'm David Carr, I'm getting the hell out of the AFC. The AFC is it's just the better conference. So you need to get out of it. You're older, you're past 30. You're not getting any younger. But Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, Herbert, they all are younger. And they're all in the AFC. And you can include Trevor Lawrence on that. That's 5 quarterbacks that are younger and better than you. And I know you're competitive and you want to say maybe you're as good as them, but let's be smart about this. You've played 2 – well, actually, you only started 1 playoff game and you lost that last year to Burrow. So what's your best chance to getting to the playoffs? It's going to the NFC. And it's going to one division. That's where I would narrow my focus, the NFC South. All 4 teams need quarterbacks. Tom Brady's gone. Atlanta doesn't have a quarterback. The Saints don't have a quarterback. Carolina doesn't have a quarterback. You have your choice. Now, the Saints have issues with the cap. They're going to want to take a cut. But the other 3 teams have options. So, excuse me. So go to one of those teams. Now, if I had my pick, I'd probably go to Carolina with Frank Wright. He's done great with quarterbacks. I know he had a carousel in the Colts, but he's a smart coach. And you know what you're doing as a veteran quarterback. I think easily you could be there. They have a good defense, and they ran the ball really great. So if you want a chance to maybe contend for playoffs, go to Carolina. My number 2 pick would be Tampa Bay. They're only a couple years removed from Super Bowl 55. They have a lot of great pieces on that roster. Mike Evans is still there. Chris Godwin's still there. A good defense is still there. And their offensive line will be healthier than they were last year. But don't leave that division. You'll instantly be the best quarterback in the division. You can win. You can maybe get a home playoff game and get to 10-plus wins if you get in the right situation. So I don't want to hear about the Jets. I don't want to hear about anywhere in the NFC. Go to the NFC South. Do the smart thing. All right? Let's be smart. All right, next up, Aaron Rodgers. I'm so tired of this stupid conversation about Aaron Rodgers. I could just ugh. Now, I won back-to-back MVPs, not last year, but 2 years before that, and led the Packers to, 13 wins each of those years. And he's an amazing football player. There's nothing you can't argue with that. He kind of shuts down in the playoffs. Doesn't have a great playoff record, but he's won a Super Bowl. He's led the team to lots of wins. So he does have value. Is he worth $50 million a year? The Packers are playing him? Probably not. I'd ask him to restructure his contract at least. But holding the team hostage every year to decide what I'm going to do. I'm going to go into just retreat and sit in a hole for 4 days and meditate and figure out what I want to do and blah, blah, blah. No one cares. No one cares. If that's what you want to do, good for you. I'm not going to, get on you for how you want to handle your mental, health. That's good for you. If that's going to help you with your mental health, good for you. But to me, you do this every year, and every year it's some other excuse. And it's just boring, and I'm done with it. And if I was the Packers, I would trade you. I would trade you in a heartbeat. If someone wants to take on that horrible contract, take it. Take it, take it, take it. Maybe I'll even pay some of it. That's what I would do if I was Green Bay. And I'd give Jordan Love a shot. You traded up to get Jordan Love. He sat on the bench for 3 years. He's got 1 year left. And if I'm Jordan Love and you're going to bring Aaron Rodgers back, hey, I'm still here, and trade me. Trade me. I'm going. Give me a shot. Now, he played against the Eagles again, and they were getting blown out, and he had a good couple of drives, but that's it. Besides preseason and, of course, practice, Jordan Love's not getting a shot. Now, I don't know if Jordan Love's good or not enough to see or say it. He does have a good arm. He has the physical attributes. Obviously, sat behind Aaron Rodgers. You've got to learn that a lot that way. But we don't know. What we do know is Aaron Rodgers is kind of a waste of time. And if I'm Matt LaFleur, I'm kind of done with him. I'm kind of done with his aloofness. He's not a fantastic leader. He's just not. He likes to lead with his play and stuff like that, but I want my quarterback to be vocal. I want my quarterback to get my guys amped up. When we're down, I want him walking up and down the sideline, getting people. Now, I'm not saying I want him to be like Russell Wilson and be a little corny about it, but I want to, you've seen Tom Brady get on people. You've seen Mahomes get on people. You want, and you're kind of in-your-face leadership from your quarterback. You want a guy that gets in the huddle and gets the guys going. He's more cerebral. He's a Cal Berkeley guy. He's just going to do it his way. And if I'm Green Bay, I move off of him. Get him going. Bye-bye. See you later. Done. If you can find a trade partner, if you can trick the Raiders into taking him and pairing him back with Devontae Adams, I don't care what you get. What you get is you get $50 million in cap space back. And you start rebuilding your roster, and you give Jordan Love a shot and find out what you have. It's time to move on. Let's not go for the Brett Favre retirement thing, two quarterbacks in a row. Let's move on to the next generation. Let's do it. Send him to the Jets like you did with Brett. I'm cool with that too. The Jets can have him. I just don't want to hear about it anymore. And I don't think anybody in the league wants to hear about it anymore. So either retire, get traded, but let's not stay in Green Bay. Let's end this marriage, right? Let's do it. All right. Next up, NFL Draft Combine happened this weekend. Now, if you like watching 40 times or Superior Athletes bench press, then the Combine is for you. There's exciting stuff that happens, and there's people that show out, and eventually some 300-pounder will run a 4.740, and everybody will be amazed. And maybe their draft stock will go from a second to a first, which is exciting. But the part we don't get to see, the part that really matters, is the interviews. Where you get to find out what drives the player, how coachable he is. Is he competitive? I think interviews and the health concerns that people have where they do the health checks, those are what really, really move the needle for teams in drafting. And that's why when draft day, we have surprises. Like, that guy, you must have wowed them in an interview or something like that. We don't get to see access to that, and we never will. Teams don't want their questions they ask players to get out there, their process, and I understand that. I don't think it should be. But the combine itself is just kind of funny to me. We do the measurables, you find out a guy, that guy was 6'4". No, he's actually only 6'2". But for that to happen anyways, it's just going to be anyway, sorry, I got distracted by chat. Anyways, so what was I saying? The combine. Anyways, for the combine. So we're going to see some stuff happen. I'm not going to overreact to anything that happens in the combine. One guy's going to do crazy bench numbers. Somebody's going to surprise us with the 40 time. And it's going to be interesting. But what really happens in the interviews and the health checks are what really matters. So remember that if you see someone climb up the draft board. Now, if enough people want me, I will do a mock draft in the first round, maybe just the first round, doing all 7 rounds. It's kind of crazy people to do that. Kudos to you. That's a lot of work. I'm not good enough of a talent evaluator or know enough about all the players in the draft to do 7 rounds. Maybe I'll do 2 rounds. It seems to be the going rate, 2 rounds in the NFL draft. Maybe I'll do 2-round mock draft. But maybe I'll do a 1-round mock draft. We'll see. The draft happens at the end of April. So, anyways, moving on. Going into the draft, I want to talk about the top 5 teams in the draft. Okay, this is where all the interesting things are going to happen. Obviously, quarterbacks. Obviously, Will Anderson and Jalen Carter. We know about Jalen Carter's news about the racing issue he had, where a fellow teammate died, and he may be tied to that, which is really unfortunate. But I want to talk about what I think the top 5 teams should do in the draft. I don't want to go through all 32. If I do a mock draft, I can explain that pick by pick what I think they should do. But I wanted to give you a brief rundown of what I think the top 5 teams should do in the draft. So let's start with the Bears. Now, the Bears weren't supposed to get their first overall pick. It's supposed to be the Texans. But the Bears lucked into it. Thank you, Texans, for winning that game. Thank Lovie Smith for that. And the Bears have an interesting choice. Now, they have Justin Fields. He hasn't played a full season. He obviously has an amazing running talent, but hasn't been consistent. Didn't throw the ball super consistently or accurately all year long. So you're not really sure what you have with Justin Fields. You do have an amazing athlete, but do you have an amazing quarterback? Unknown. He doesn't have a great roster around you, but you do have tons of cap space. So you have a lot of ability to build a better roster around him if that's the direction you want to go. But you also have the first pick and a quarterback on his rookie deal. Now, is there any can't-miss prospects that you would just take even though you have Fields and maybe you couldn't trade him? No. There's no can't-miss quarterback in this draft. The number 1 quarterback, while amazing, is 5'10" and maybe 200 pounds. He's more athletic than Tua, but you still have concerns about how he can take a hit. Getting hit in college versus getting hit in the NFL is a different beast altogether. There's a lot of safety rules for quarterbacks, but if you move outside the pocket and get whopped one time, it could be the start of an injury-plagued season you don't want to end. So let's not wish that upon him, but he's just not built for it. Now, there's Will Levis and it's Richardson. They're bigger, prototypical, but the number 1 quarterback we're talking about is Bryce Young. So there's not really a can't-miss prospect. So if I'm the Bears, if I get an amazing deal, if someone wants to jump the Colts and Texans because they love Bryce Young or Will Levis or Anthony Richardson or C.J. Stroud even, they want to jump and get one of those 4 quarterbacks and pay you a few first-rounders, you do it. Especially if you get 2 first-rounders this year. If somehow you can get multiple high draft picks, maybe a first and a second, something that can really bolster your roster this year, you do it. You do it. If you don't find that, take Will Anderson Jr. Just do it. You need defensive help on the front side. Or take Jalen Carter. Take one of the 2 beasts on defense and live with it. And just start building your roster. Because you need a lot of help. And there's less risk with defensive players and offense. So that's what I would do. I would either trade it or just draft a defensive guy. But don't draft the quarterback and try to trade Fields. I just don't think that's worth it. All right, number 2, the Texans. Draft Bryce Young. Simple. You have multiple first-rounders this year. You are in complete rebuild mode. Draft Bryce Young. Just draft him. He probably will play really well to start. You have a good left tackle in Larry Tunsil. You can build up the offensive line a little bit. He's got a good running back, and Damian Pierce will be coming back. Draft Bryce Young. Draft him and just work on rebuilding this team. It's simple. Number 3, the Cardinals. Now, the Cardinals are interesting because like we talked about this. Cardinals are going to have to replace a lot of holes. Now, you could draft a defensive player in top 5, or if someone wants to jump the Colts, you could trade down. I think the Cardinals are an interesting trade down because they are in rebuild mode and they need more picks, right? I think they should trade down. If I was them, I would trade down. I think that's more of an interesting, the price is going to be a little lower, but I think if you can find somebody, depending on if someone was disappointed that Bryce Young was taken, they want to get past the Colts, maybe the Panthers, maybe the Raiders, someone wants to get up there, I say you trade that pick. And if that's the Cardinals, I'd trade to get more picks. I need more picks, and I know Jonathan Gannon's going to want to install this type of defense, and he needs defensive players. So let's get him more picks so he can get more guys. And number 4, it's the Colts. This is easy. Whatever quarterback prospect you want, you got to take him. You need to end this quarterback carousel you've been doing for the last 5-6 years. It is atrocious. Give Shane Steichen a new young quarterback. This is easy. I don't think you need to go up to number 1. There's 4 guys there. I think you need to keep your picks. I don't think you need to make a crazy trade to move up to number 1. I think that's the asking price is too high. I've seen reports that it's multiple number 1s, one this year, one next year, maybe the next 2 drafts. No. Don't do it. You're at 4. There'll be a quarterback available at 4. There will be. So I think you stay there, and I think you draft. Some team wants to jump all the way past you, number 1. I don't, the Cardinals aren't going to take a pick. There's still 4 quarterbacks. You're going to get someone good that have first-round grades. So I'd say at 4, you just stay there and get that pick and take a quarterback and just end the carousel. And number 5 is Seahawks. Now, if Will Anderson and Jalen Carter have been taken, maybe the Bears don't trade, and Will Anderson Jr. goes there, and the Cardinals, John McGann's love Jalen Carter, and he takes Jalen Carter, then only 2 quarterbacks are gone, and you're at number 5, and you have the chance to trade now. Now you're a hot trade part, and you have 2 first-rounders already. But if you can get 2, if you could have 3 first-rounders, if you could find someone to do something crazy, you can get some picks next year if you're the Seahawks. You really need to rebuild that front 7. You made the playoffs when you shouldn't. At this point, by the draft, maybe you have Geno re-signed. If you don't have Geno re-signed. If you can't come to a deal with him, which I highly doubt, I feel like Geno wants to stay in Seattle, and you kind of come to a deal, you trade down and you get more and more players. Rebuild that offensive line because Austin Blythe, your center, is gone. So you need a new center. You need a new guard. You need 2 new defensive interior guys. You need better pass. You got a lot of help needed for the Seahawks. So trade down. Trade down, get more picks. That's what I would do for the top 5 in the NFL draft. If we want to talk more about the NFL draft in the future, we can do that. We can discuss that. Let me know. Post a comment or a question about the NFL draft. Be happy to answer in the next episode. Please let me know what you think about the podcast. If there's anything I can do to improve. Again, this is a work in progress. I'm still learning. I fumbled my words earlier. Someone posted something in the chat that was in a foreign language and threw me for a loop and threw me off my vibe for a word. So I got to get better at that, and I will continue to work on that. But I thank you for watching and listening. I do appreciate it, and look forward to hearing from you. So take care and have a great day. Thank you.